Cairo on Monday. The Elysee Palace says the president will visit aid workers at an Egypt-Gaza crossing on Tuesday. Let's go live now to Ambassador Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, a longtime U.S. diplomat who's now a non-resident senior fellow at the think tank, the Atlantic Council. Great to have you back on the BBC. The IDF, as we heard there, now saying its soldiers made mistakes in the killing of 15 aid workers in Gaza 2 weeks ago. We're seeing this new video evidence emerging as well. Overall, what does this incident say to you about the safety of emergency workers working in Gaza right now amid Israel's renewed offensive?
Yes, thank you, Carl. Well, it doesn't say anything new. We have known for the last year plus that aid workers, along with other civilians in the Gaza Strip, and regardless of nationality, have been in danger. Many have been killed during this conflict. The United States and other nations have called on the Israelis to do a much better job at protecting civilians and certainly protecting aid workers. So sadly, this is not new or surprising, even though it is shocking.
And Ambassador, as we heard there, Prime Minister Netanyahu will be back in Washington Monday, his second meeting now since Donald Trump retook the White House. What are you expecting to be on that agenda? Of course, we know tariffs will be discussed, but what are you expecting from that visit?
Well, as they prepared for this meeting, there were probably 4 or 5 big issues that were going to come up, and of course, many ancillary ones. Tariffs, certainly from the perspective of the Israeli government, somehow get that 17% lowered or removed. The Gaza Strip. The United States, under President Trump, has given basically a green light to Israel to do whatever they want within the Strip. And we have seen moves, not only in the Gaza Strip, but in the West Bank, that appear to be aimed at confiscating additional land and making sure that the Gaza Strip is a place where people will have to move if they want to stay alive. This is a precursor. People are saying that there should not be a forced departure of Palestinians, that there shouldn't be ethnic cleansing or expulsion. But if there is nothing there, then they would have to leave. And we know that the Israeli government has had conversations with other governments about taking Palestinians. But this atrocity with regard to emergency workers is going to flip that script a little bit. Also, Iran might come up, Syria and Israeli actions there. And as we try to navigate the United States on where to calibrate support for the new Syrian government while holding them account for their actions, this atrocity is going to add additional pressure, I believe, from the United States, from President Trump on the prime minister.
Right.
We know when it got bloody before, the president said, wrap this up, get that ceasefire in place. This, even though there has not been a formal American statement about it, without a doubt, it's going to come up in the meeting.
And you mentioned, of course, that long list that could be on the agenda there, but, a ceasefire likely to be discussed, as you mentioned there. Where do you think negotiations stand right now between Israel and Hamas after that initial ceasefire broke down?
Well, we know that, delegations have gone back and that intermediaries are trying to get the ceasefire back on track. I believe until this particular incident, that Hamas was getting pressure from all parties to leave the Gaza Strip. The Israelis were very effective with saying, we basically are going to wipe you out unless you go. That the war was resumed. We saw from a demonstration from Palestinians that Palestinians are exhausted from this war. We saw that in spite of all the calls from the Israeli public to continue the ceasefire, to get the hostages home, that is not what the government wanted to do. Again, there's extra pressure now on perhaps getting back to that ceasefire and putting the hostages first in the calculations of the Israeli government. This, of course, is going to add additional pressure, we know, from the right wing of the prime minister's government. And we'll have to see how he deals with that or how he convinces President Trump to continue to stand by Israel, regardless of what they do, to civilians and others in the Gaza Strip.
Ambassador Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, always great to get your perspective. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.